Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session on anatomy, physiology, and of the human skeleton and the muscles. Earlier, we had talked about understanding the structure and function of the joints. And now we are going to talk about the structure and the function of the muscular system. I'm Dr. Anita Koso and your facilitator for this session. If you have any questions related to this session or any session that I have taught, please email at learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk. And you will get these recordings on Moodle as well. So the indicative content for this session we will talk about the structure of the muscle, the muscular system. It is made up of around 600 muscles, over than 600 muscles. It works alongside the skeleton to create movement, to maintain posture, support essential body functions. And there are three main types of muscles in the body, in the human body, each with a different structure. So you have the skeletal muscle, and this type of muscle attaches to the bone, and that is through the tendon. So it won't directly attach itself to the bone, the muscle. It is attached through the tendons. It is striped, or also known as striated in appearance under a microscope, and it is made up of long fibers which are bundled together. Skeletal muscles work under voluntary control, which means that you can consciously decide to move your muscles, and they contract quickly and powerfully. Smooth muscles, on the other hand, they are found in internal organs such as the intestine, the stomach, the bladder, and the blood vessels. There are no stripes there, and its muscle and its fibers, they are spindle shaped, just like a spindle. They're spindle shaped. This muscle works under involuntary control. You cannot control your bladder. You cannot control your stomach, your blood vessels, your intestines. They contract slowly and rhythmically, and their main function here is to move food, or for blood vessels, it is to regulate blood flow and control internal pressure, such as low blood pressure or high blood pressure. Sorry, I've got a flu. Cardiac muscle. So the cardiac muscle is found only in the heart. It looks striated like skeletal muscle, but behaves like smooth muscle because it works under involuntary control. Its structure allows it to contract continuously and rhythmically without fatigue. So the cardiac muscle, it is only found in the heart. You will find it is also striated. It has also stripes, and it behaves like the smooth muscle because it's not under our control. Its structure allows it to contract continuously and rhythmically without any fatigue. So the structure, coming to the structure of the skeletal muscles, we'll talk about it in detail. So the skeletal muscles are organized into different levels. So there are muscle fibers, which are known as muscle cells. There are myofibrils inside those fibers, and there are sarcomeres, which are the basic contractile unit. So the cell is the basic contractile unit is known as the sarcomere, and they have myofibrils inside the fibers and muscle fibers. So the sarcomere contains two protein filaments. There's actin and myosin. Actin is thin, whereas myosin is thick. These filaments slide over each other. So there's contraction and which leads to muscle movement. This is known as the sliding filament theory. The skeletal muscle also contains tendons, which I already said to you that they attach to the muscle to the bone. There's fascia, that's connective tissue surrounding the muscle groups. And the blood vessels and nerve supply, obviously, if they don't have blood supply or nerve supply, they will die. And they need that to remove waste and coordinate contraction as well. So in terms of movement, so the functions of the muscular system, so they support in movement. So skeletal muscles contract to produce to move bones or joints. Every voluntary movement like walking, lifting, reaching, running, it depends upon coordinated muscle contractions. Just as joints work together to bring about movement, they're muscles as well that move together to bring movement. Coming towards posture and stability, so muscles maintain body posture even when you are still. So I'm sitting, that posture is maintained. Postural muscles work continuously to keep the spine aligned and the body and supporting the balance. There's heat production as well. So muscle contraction produces heat. Around 70% of the body's heat is generated by muscle activity, and which helps maintain body temperatures as well. There's protection of organs. So muscles act as padding around major organs like abdominal muscles, protecting the intestine. Movement of internal substances. So smooth muscles move food, as I said, through the intestine, through the digestive system, controls the bladder and regulates the blood vessel diameter. So it becomes bigger or smaller as required. And the cardiac muscle pumps blood throughout the body. That's the specialized function that it has. Support function. So muscles stabilize joints during movements by controlling direction, speed, and force. How muscles work with the skeleton? Now that's a question. So muscles attach to bones in pairs. So there's an agonist and an antagonist. An agonist will make that movement happen. An antagonist muscle will will work in the opposite direction. Then there are fixators and synergists, which help steady or support the main movement. Okay, so they add to the movement. So they mainly the muscles that work together work through agonist or antagonist. For instance, when you bend your elbow, biceps contract while the triceps. So you're bending this, your biceps will be contracting and your triceps will be relaxing to allow for this movement. So the structure and the function of the skeletal muscle, it is made, it is the type, it is the type of muscle that is attached to bones and responsible for voluntary movement. Its structure is highly organized and it allows strength, control, and endurance. Each skeletal muscle is made up of bundles of long muscle fibers. These fibers contain smaller structures and they're known as myofibrils, as I said, which are arranged in repeated units known as sarcomeres. Sarcomeres are the functional unit of contraction and contain two main protein filaments, which are actin, the thin filament, the myosin, which is the thick filament. When these filaments slide over each other, the muscle shortens, producing movement. So the muscle fibers, they are grouped and wrapped in layers of connective tissue. So you have the endomysium surrounds the endomysium surrounds each muscle fiber. So endomysium will be surrounding the muscle fiber. Perimysium will surround the bundles of fibers. And epimysium surrounds the entire muscle. These layers help protect the muscle and allow force to be transmitted efficiently. Skeletal muscles contract to bones through tendons, which are strong. Okay, so the muscles that we have over here in our body, fibrous structures, they transfer the force of muscle contraction to the skeleton. Muscles also contain a rich blood supply to deliver oxygen, and they remove waste products. And they are controlled by motor neurons and they trigger contraction. Skeletal muscle performs several key functions and its primary role in movement as it contracts to pull on bones at joints. It also plays a major role in, as I mentioned earlier, in posture, helping you maintain body position when you're not moving actively. Skeletal muscle contributes to heat production because contraction generates warmth, and this helps regulate the body temperature. It also provides joint stability as muscles around a joint work together to control movement and prevent injury. Finally, skeletal muscle supports protection as large muscle groups such as abdominal muscles shield internal organs. This is a summary of how the muscle fibers, myofibrils, sarcomeres, actin, myosin, connective tissue layers, tendons, there are all the explanations that have been given to you earlier. Now coming towards one of the last bits. Yeah, not the last bit yet. One of the last bits. So we will talk about, I'll explain the muscle contraction in relation to movement. How does that help? So muscle contraction, it is a process that produces movement. Skeletal muscles create movement, and that is by contracting and pulling on the bones that they are attached to. This happens because muscles work using the sliding filament mechanism. There are two key proteins, actin and myosin, which I had mentioned earlier. Inside each muscle fiber are myofibrils. They are made up of repeated sections, and these are known as sarcomeres, which I had told you already. A sarcomere, what is a sarcomere? It is the functional unit of contraction. When a muscle receives a signal from a motor neuron, calcium is released inside the muscle fiber. This allows myosin to heads to attach to the actin filament and pull them inward. As the actin filaments move closer together, the entire sarcomere it shortens. So this contraction and this shortening causes the whole muscle to contract. So muscle contraction, it directly relates to movement because muscles, they are attached to bones by tendons. So muscles are not directly attached, they will be attached to tendons, and those tendons attach them to the bones. Where the muscle shortens, it pulls the bone at the joint, creating motion. Movement depends upon how much the muscle contracts and the direction of the pull. For instance, when the biceps contract, they pull the forearm upwards. I told you that, and elbow, causing elbow flexion. When the triceps contract, they straighten the arm by extending the elbow. So muscles work in antagonist pairs, meaning one muscle contracts, which is the agonist, while the other opposite side relaxes, which is the antagonist. This coordination allows smooth and controlled movements like bending the knee requires the hamstrings to contract and quadriceps to relax. Straightening the knee reverses these roles. The speed and strength of movement depends on how many muscle fibers are activated. Gentle action recruits fewer fibers, while a powerful movement like you jump, you run, lifting engages many fibers at once. Repeated contractions allow for continuous movement like walking or running. So, in conclusion, muscle contraction produces movement by shortening the muscles through the sliding fiber filament mechanism, pulling on bones and joints, and working with opposing muscle groups to create controlled, powerful, purposeful movement. Now, the last bit is to explore the relationship of antagonist pairs. So, sorry for that, really sorry. Yeah, sorry, there's been some disturbance. Exploring the relationship of antagonist pairs. So antagonists, they are their pairs are two muscles that work opposite each other to control movement at a joint. This relationship is essential because muscles can only pull, never push. So muscles pull, they never push. For a joint to move in two directions, one muscle must contract while its partner relaxes. So they're coordinated movement and they're smooth and controlled. So each antagonist pair has a specific role. So the agonist or the prime mover is the muscle that contracts to produce the movement. The antagonist will relax and lengthens to allow that movement to happen. When the movement reverses, their roles switch. A simple example is the biceps and the triceps at the elbow. When the biceps contract, the elbow bends. There's flexion of the biceps, and there's extension. Uh, the tricep acts as an antagonist, which relaxes. When the triceps contract, the elbow straightens. There's extension, and the biceps switch to their antagonist role. So this will be when you're flexing this. This will be agonist. The bicep will be agonist, while the tricep will be antagonist. This relationship isn't only about movement, it is about controlling speed and protect the joints. The antagonist muscles provide resistance to prevent the movement being too fast or controlled. For instance, when you lower a weight, the antagonist contracts slightly to slow the motion down, preventing injury. Another key element is the quadriceps and the hamstrings at the knee joint. So the quadriceps contract to strengthen the leg extension while the hamstrings relax when bending the knee. The hamstrings contract and the quadriceps act as antagonist. This pair works constantly when walking, running, and climbing. In the other body, you have the pectoralis major and latissimus dorsi. They are there at the shoulder joints. One pulls the arm forward while other pulls the arm and pulls it backward. This allows for full range and control in activities like throwing and lifting. Antagonist pairs also help maintain posture. Even when you are standing still, small adjustments happen between opposing muscles to keep the joints stable and balanced. So, in conclusion, overall movements would be impossible without agonist and antagonist working together. They allow for coordination, stability, control, protection, and they allow joints to move smoothly in every direction needed for everyday activity. So these are some of the references that you should be going through. They're there on Moodle as well. So refer to these books and to the units on Moodle. And if you have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, please feel free to email at learnerwork.ukversity.co.uk. Thank you for your time, and I'll be sharing the recording soon. Thank you. Bye.